And in particular, this morning is very special. It's one of our most sacred observances, celebrations, and days for us to reflect very deeply on the incredible mercy, incredible good fortune of having this Krishna consciousness in our lives. So thank you once again. So today we will continue our journey through Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me share my screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 51, verse 35 through 42. Evam sambhashito ragya Bhagavan bhuta bhavana pratyaha prahasan manya Meghanada Gabhiraya. Shukadeva Goswami continued. Thus addressed by the king, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, origin of all creation, smiled, and then replied to him in a voice as deep as the rumbling of clouds. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Janma Karma Bidhanani Santi Menga Sahasrasha Na Sakyante Nusankyatum Anantvan Mayapihi. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear friend, I have taken thousands of births, lived thousands of lives, and accepted thousands of names. In fact, my births, activities, and names are limitless, and thus even I cannot count them." Kvachid rajam sivimame parthivanyu janmabhi guna karma bhidanani name janmani karhiche. After many lifetimes, someone might count the dust particles on the earth, but no one can ever finish counting my qualities, activities, names, and births. Kala trayopapannani janma karmani me nripa anukramantu naivantam gachanti paramarshaya. O king, the greatest sages enumerate my births and activities, which take place throughout the three phases of time, but never do they reach the end of them. Tathapyadyatananyanga Shrushnusva gadato mama Vigyapito virinchena Puraham dharma guptaye Bhumer bharayamanam Asuranam kshayaya cha Avatirno yadukule Grihana kadundubhe Vadanti vasudeveti Vasudeva sutam himam. Nonetheless, O friend, I will tell you about my current birth, name, and activities. Kindly hear. Some time ago, Lord Brahma requested me to protect religious principles and destroy the demons who were burdening the earth. Thus, I descended in the Yadu dynasty, in the home of Anakadundubi. Indeed, because I am the son of Vasudev, people call me Vasudev. Kala nemir hata kamsa pralambadayascha sadrisha ayam cha yavano dagdo rajamste tigma chakshusha. I have killed Kalanemi, reborn as Kansa, as well as Pralamba and other enemies of the pious. And now, O king, this barbarian has been burnt to ashes by your piercing glance. Soham tavanugrahartham guhametamupagata prarthita prachuram purvam tvayaham bhaktavatsala. Since in the past you repeatedly prayed to me, I have personally come to this cave to show you mercy, for I am affectionately inclined to my devotees. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is apparent from this verse that Muchukunda was a devotee of the Supreme Lord. He had prayed for the Lord association, and now Sri Krishna granted his fervent request. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who has opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I further offer my obeisances to all of you assembled Vaishnavas and seek all your blessings that we may recite Srimad Bhagavatam. So this section is, if you haven't figured it out, it's about this king who was sleeping in the cave. His name is Muchukunda, great devotee of the Lord. And by the arrangement of the Lord, he got Muchukunda to destroy the demon named Kaliyavan. And after that destruction happened, then Muchukunda offered his prayers. So here we see the Lord telling King Muchukunda about his various births and how his incarnations are unlimited. And there's no end to his glories. So it's a very sweet overview. And he's saying, let me tell you about this current birth. See, because Muchukunda was sleeping in the cave the whole time. Krishna's glories were broadcast all over the world. But Muchukunda was sleeping because he'd been sleeping for a long time, like thousands of years. Because he was really tired. Sometimes you just need one of those really long, anyway. He'd been fighting a long time. So he really needed some rest. So he missed out on all the news. So Krishna is catching him up. Let me tell you about this current avatar. So this is what I did. I was born in, Krishna is telling him that I was born in the family of Anakadundubi. Anakadundubi means, it's the name of Vasudev. Vasudev is one of his names, is Anakadundubi, which means, Anakadundubi has two musical instruments that are very, loud, and they're very melodious. And they kind of announce, they herald something auspicious. So when Vasudeva was born, everybody played these two instruments. So that's one of his names, Anakadundubi. So he said, I was born in that home of the Anakadundubi's Yadu dynasty. And because his name is also Vasudeva, people call me Vasudeva. In fact, the opening lines of Srimad Bhagavatam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, it says identity. So Bhagavatam is about Vasudeva. See. And then I killed Kansa, and I killed Pralambasur, among other demons, just named two of the demons out of many. And now, my dear king, my dear devotee, you have also helped me in unburdening the earth by killing this Kaliyavan. But he's coming to the point that you repeatedly prayed to me. And so I've come to give you my personal association. I'm not asking you to come and visit me in the temple. I'm coming to your house. I'm coming to your, resting area, your man cave, if you will. And literally, it's his man cave. He's He's in a cave and just needed a rest by himself, Sometimes they need that. So I'll come to you. And he granted that request. So I've highlighted in this verse, Tvayaham Bhakta Vatsala. So of all the many amazing qualities of the Supreme Lord, the one that brings great joy to his devotees is this one quality of him being Bhakta Vatsala, affectionately inclined, he says, to my devotees. The word Vatsala comes from Vatsa. Vatsa means dear child, but actually it literally means my dear calf, baby cow. Because Krishna is so kind toward his calves. He just adores them. He showers them with affection. And he sees his own devotees as his own calves. Vatsa. So when his mercy overflows, when he's giving his mercy as Lord Krishna, he comes in person. For someone who's been a great devotee, who's so super qualified. And he shows up. But when his mercy overflows beyond looking at anything else, he comes as Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu in the Kali Yuga when everybody is fallen. And when that mercy becomes blind to all disqualifications and most forgiving, including offensiveness, that feature is embodied in none other than Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. So who is the most merciful? That's the title of today's talk. It ties in with Lord Krishna's pastimes. You see in the verses today, and if you recall the verse in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Yada yada hi dharmasya, whenever there's a decline in irreligion, I come and destroy the demons. So he gives that outline, I killed Kansa and Pralamba. But the real reason I come is to give joy to my devotees. Paritranaya sadhu nam. See, so two things: vinashaya chaduskritam, killing the evildoers, and paritranaya sadhunam. You see. So, who is the most merciful? This is an aspect of Lord Krishna's mercy, the embodiment. Today is the most glorious day. It is Nityananda Trayodashi. And we are celebrating this divine appearance of Lord Nityananda, the embodiment of mercy. He's always blissful, so blissful we can't fathom how he can behave in such unusual ways. And who's always inviting us to enter into a life of permanent joy, happiness, and pure love. So who is this Lord Nityananda? At our Tuaco temple here in New Jersey, we have these most beautiful divine forms of Lord Nityananda and Lord Caitanya on this central altar. And Lord Nityananda, he's on the left over there. And Lord Nityananda is none other than Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram is the first expansion of Lord Krishna. When Krishna takes one step to the right, he becomes Balaram. There's not much difference between Krishna and Balaram. Krishna is dark-hued, Balaram is white-hued. They're brothers. Balaram is just as powerful as Krishna, but he's functionally a little bit different in terms of function. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Balaram is also considered the original personality of Godhead, but he is the servitor Godhead. You see, servitor. So he's also God, but he functions as a servant of God too. It's quite amazing. It's hard to fathom how that even works. It's kind of inconceivable. But there are some very beautiful verses in Sri Caitanya Charitamrita that we can read today in the glory of Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda, who is none other than Balaram. So this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila. Shankarshana Karanatoyashayi Garbhodashayi Chapayobdishayi Sheshashcha Yasyam Shakalas Nitya Nandakhya Rama Sharanam Mamastu. May Shri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Shankarshana, Sheshanag, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karana ocean, the Garbha ocean, and the ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. You may have heard this word plenary many, many times. What does that mean, plenary portions? So plenary means that expansion, plenary expansion, has all the potencies of the original. Not missing any of the powers, the abilities, the capacities. Nothing is missing. That is plenary portion. Is a verse glorifying Lord Nityananda. It says, Nityanandam aham naumi sarvananda karam param harinama pradam devam avadhuta shiromanim. I bow down to the Supreme Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is the awarder of the highest joy to all, the bestower of the holy name, and the crest jewel of all Paramahamsa mendicants. So this picture behind me, as well as this picture here, this is a temple in Ekachakra. I got the good fortune of visiting Ekachakra a couple of years ago. It's really quite an incredible place. So this is the birthplace of Lord Nityananda. So maybe we'll take a few minutes just to kind of, most of you already know these pastimes. It's always nice to repeat them, to relish them, especially on this special day. So Nityananda Prabhu appeared in this village of Ekachakra in West Bengal around 1474 in our calendar. So in the Caitanya Charitamrita and other scriptures, he's declared to be the avatar of Lord Balaram, a direct expansion of personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So as a child, he was called Nitai. And he had a close circle of friends as he's growing up. And together, they used to imitate the pastime of Lord Krishna and his associates. That's how they would play in the yard. And the grown-ups, they would just be fascinated. All the grown-ups of Ekachakra would come around and just be watching this unique, charming little boy. And they all loved him as their own child. And seeing that he was so absorbed in all the avatars and incarnation of Krishna, they had a suspicion that maybe he is some sort of incarnation himself. So day after day, these boys, they would enact these different pastimes. And they did it so skillfully with so much depth. And neighbors were wondering, how is it that he's so talented? How is it that he knows the story so well and acts them with so much nuance? Nobody's explained all these details to him. On one occasion, one of the boys, he dressed as Akrura and took Krishna and Balaram away from Vrindavan on the order of Kamsa. And then Nitai, he got in the mood of that separation. And he cried, feeling the grief of that separation from the gopis of Vrindavan. Tears of love flowed from his eyes. And his acting was so authentic, it made everybody who saw him wonder, was he merely just acting, or was he actually feeling those feelings? Was he experiencing those emotions? And this was true whether he played the part of Krishna, or he played the part of Balaram, or he played the part of Vamanadev and other incarnations of the Lord. And when someone asked him, Nitai would say, "These are my own divine pastimes, and I am allowing you to see them. This is your good fortune." So among his most convincing roles was that of Lakshmana. Lakshmana is younger brother of Lord Ram. And sometimes Lakshmana would get really angry at Ravana and things like that. And he'd really show it. And he kind of hinted at his origin, at his inner identity of Balaram or of Sheshanag. So the first 12 years of his life, Nityananda Prabhu, he lived in Ekachakra, shared his loving pastimes with his neighbors. Now, just before his 13th birthday, however, what happened? The traveling mendicant came to his home, sannyasi, and he was welcomed as a guest by Nityananda Prabhu's father, Hadai Pandit. And Harai Pandit offered this guest everything. My dear Sadhu, you have come to my home. This is your home. Whatever things I have here, they're all yours. Please feel free to take whatever you like. My home is your home. All my belongings are yours. That was his, very generous nature to the great souls. The sadhu said, I'm a simple man. I don't really need anything. My needs are very minimal. I already have the clothing that I need. I have this water pot. However, I do need a traveling companion, someone who can assist me. And this young Nitai, he would be an appropriate person for this service. Now, Nitai was actually very eager to go. And Harai Pandit was very reluctant, but because he had given his word, he respected that sadhu, he actually let his son go. So Nitai travels from place to place, all these holy places in the next 20 years, until he was 32. He was receiving instruction and friendship from this elderly sannyasi companion. He traveled the length and breadth of India and sanctified that whole area, the whole subcontinent with his presence. And wherever he traveled, he continued to feel the ecstasy more and more of all these sacred places. Then one day in Pandharpur is a sacred place in Maharashtra, Nityananda Prabhu met the saintly Lakshmipati Tirtha. Lakshmipati Tirtha is the one who initiated him. Lakshmipati, he was getting these very intense dreams of Lord Balaram. And when he met Nityananda, he was convinced that this beautiful personality is none other than Balaram himself. So they developed a deep and devotional relationship. And according to some authorities, Lakshmipati initiated Nityananda Prabhu and gave him the student name Svarupa. So this is his initiation. Now, Lakshmipati's very famous other disciple was Madhavendra Puri. See, Madhavendra Puri is the one who received direct instruction from Lord Gopinath. The whole story of Kshir Chor Gopinath, that's Madhavendra Puri. See. So because Madhavendra Puri was his senior godbrother, Nityananda Prabhu treated Madhavendra Puri like his own spiritual master. There's a very sweet relationship there. Then the year 1506, after traveling through many dense forests in this trance-like state of devotion, Nityananda Prabhu reached this land of Nadia, where Caitanya Mahaprabhu was living. And when the two lords finally came eye to eye, they were immediately both overtaken with waves of ecstasy. Now, Lord Nityananda was 32 years old and Mahaprabhu was only 20 years old. And they each felt now their lives are complete. And they ran to each other and embraced so tightly and cried and roared. And it seems like rivers of tears of ecstasy. And Nityananda Prabhu, who is identical to Lord Balaram, he was so much bliss. He was in just incredible bliss. So very soon after this meeting, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then tried to honor Nityananda Prabhu with the Vyas Puja ceremony, because he is the Guru Tattva himself. He is the embodiment of the mercy of Guru. That's Lord Balaram. So he said, you are Guru. So I'm going to now celebrate Vyas Puja and we'll glorify you. We'll do Guru Puja for you. But Nityananda Prabhu protested and grabbed all the worship articles and worshipped Lord Chaitanya instead. He said, no, you are the supreme, And Nityananda Prabhu kept repeating that, you Nimai Pandit, you Mahaprabhu, you are my Lord and Master. You are my Lord and Master. Repeatedly, over and over again. Nityananda Prabhu would sing, Bhaja Gaurango, Kaho Gaurango, Lo Gaurangero Namare, Je Jano Gaurango Bhoje, Shehoy Amar Pranare. Everybody, you please worship Gauranga. Shout Gauranga, Kaho, call Gauranga. Say the name, Loho Gauranga Namare. Say the name of Gauranga. Whoever worships Gauranga, Je Jano Gauranga Bhoje, Shehoy Amar Pranare. That person is my life and soul. So this is Lord Nityananda's own words. So there was constant competition of who will serve whom. And the transcendental love for each other is indescribable. From this point until Mahaprabhu left for Jagannath Puri, Nityananda Prabhu was always by his side. And Krishnadas Kaviraj, and both Krishnadas Kaviraj and Vrindavan Thakur, the biographers of Lord Chaitanya, they say that Nityananda Prabhu holds the key to Mahaprabhu's heart. So one who thinks you can attain love of God without first getting Nityananda's mercy is living in an illusion, an hallucination. So this story is very famous. Mahaprabhu asked Nityananda Prabhu one day to him and Haridas Thakur, you should go and preach to everybody. Tell them, go door to door, preach to them. And Nityananda Prabhu came across these two ruffians, Jagai and Madhai. The Jagai and Madhai, they're born in very good families, but they become very degraded, and they were committing so many sinful activities that even Chitragupta, the scribe of Yamraj, could not keep up with them. They were just endlessly violent, vicious, sinful. So when Haridas Thakur and Nityananda tried to approach these men, they were already, these guys were already like drunk and pretty violent rage to begin with, and they didn't like to hear the name of the Lord. So, Madhai, he took a broken clay pot and hit Nityananda Prabhu's divine head so hard that it created an injury, and Lord Nityananda then exhibited a flow of blood. Now, of course, the Lord's body is purely spiritual. There's no real blood involved, but he manifested this, he exhibited it as a pastime so that Jagai could attain the liberation, the mercy of the Lord. So when Mahaprabhu heard that Nityananda Prabhu was attacked, he came rushing to the scene, infuriated. How can anybody harm such a gentle soul like Nityananda? And he started shouting and calling for his Sudarshan Chakra, that I'm going to destroy these people. And lift his hand up. You can see his fingers up there. Sudarshan is beginning to manifest. And Lord Nityananda intervened on their behalf. And Nityananda Prabhu said that, look, the majority of the people in this age, they're so fallen, so sinful. Who are you going to kill and who are you going to spare? You'll have to wipe out 99% of the population if this is how we're going to do it in Kali Yuga. We can't do this way. This is not your MO in this age of Kali. It's not the way you have come to give. You have to kill the demoniac tendencies in the heart by overflooding them with the holy name of the Lord. So this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was pacified, but he did not want to forgive Madhai. He could forgive Jagai, but not Madhai, who had actually hit Nityananda Prabhu. He said, Madhai, I cannot forgive. He needed to be forgiven directly by Nityananda Prabhu himself. And because Nityananda Prabhu's mercy is boundless, he quickly forgave Madhai for this evil act. And when Jagai and Madhai saw this loving exchange between Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, their hearts melted, they became purified, and they resolved to become devotees. And Lord Chaitanya took their sins. He embraced them and he absorbed their sins. It's described that for a brief moment, Lord Chaitanya's golden complexion turned blackish as he was absorbing the sins, like just as a demonstration of, it's just a visual demonstration of his mercy to them. And then after this, the two, Jagai and Madhai, became perfect gentlemen and perfect devotees. This is the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, who intervenes even on the behalf of offenders, or to speak of disqualified. So there are some nice prayers. This is the second verse of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 1-2. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanandau Sahoditau Gaudodaye Pushpavantau Chitrasandau Tamonudau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda, dissipate the darkness of ignorance, and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. So I read this recently, a little article written by His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. This is the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Now, Lord Krishna had taken a promise that he will not attack anybody or he'll not lift any weapons. That's the condition, the deal. I will not lift any weapons. I can do any other service, but not weaponry. So when Bhishma attacked Arjuna severely one day, a volley of arrows, Krishna could not stop. He broke his own promise to not pick up any weapons. He jumped off his chariot and he picked up a wheel from another broken war chariot as a weapon. He raised it above his head and charged toward Bhishma Dev. In fact, one of the names of Krishna that came out after this is Krishna's name is Rathanga Pane. Pani means his hand. Rathanga means he holds the wheel of a ratha in his hand. It became a name of Krishna. It's a beautiful scene that he breaks his own promise. He breaks his own vow just to protect his own devotee. So when Bhishma Dev, who is one of the 12 Mahajans, one of the top devotees of the Lord, when he saw the Lord charging at him, Bhishma immediately put down his own bow and started to glorify Krishna. That Krishna, who is a protector of devotees, is ready to break his own promise and all other considerations just for anybody who turns to him. That is his Bhakta Vatsalata. And when Krishna heard these tearful prayers of Bhishma, look at this scene. Okay, it's like a violent scene. There's like dead bodies everywhere. And Krishna wants to hurt somebody, and Bhishma Dev is offering prayers to him. Arjuna is holding him back. Please don't go. Is a Lord and two pure devotees. It's an incredible moment in divine history. And when Krishna heard these tearful prayers of of Bhishma Dev, he calmed down and threw the wheel away. Now he threw the wheel so far, it went all the way to West Bengal. This is in Kurukshetra in North India. And it fell in this place called One Wheel, Ekachakra. It's landed there. And that represents a promise that Krishna always takes care of his devotees. It makes a point, this story makes a point, that the Lord is ready to extend his mercy, that I must save this person regardless of his or her qualification. Just because they've turned to me, even they've given me a hint that they want to turn to me. In a time when there's so many disqualifications and even offenses, it's like our disqualification offense is like our undercurrent of our psychology in this age of Kali. It's a baggage we walk around with. In that background, this pure love of God is practically unobtainable. Unfortunately, we tend to forget Krishna in this situation. But fortunately, Krishna never forgets us. And he comes as Lord Nityananda, the wielder of mercy. So let us therefore wholeheartedly pray sincerely to Lord Nityananda. So these are some prayers from Caitanya Bhagavat and Caitanya Charitamrita. I'll just recite the English. It says, "O Lord Nityananda, you forget all offenses of the living entity and bestow mercy upon the fallen." Can we try to say that in our hearts when we approach the Lord today? And in Caitanya Bhagavat, it says, the devotion of the gopis that is described in books like Srimad Bhagavatam is awarded to the people of this world by you, Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda gives us the same grade of pure love as the gopis have for Krishna. That's the highest. There's nothing higher than that. And then Caitanya Charitamrita, it says, you can do what even Sri Chaitanya does not do. Bestow the mercy on the most disqualified. Your name is Nityananda, full of eternal Nitya, eternal bliss, Ananda. And I am very sad because I'm trying, but I'm failing in my spiritual life. Therefore, please give me your mercy and make me truly happy. So this is a special mercy of Lord Nityananda. Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I think I'm supposed to stop at 10 minutes before 8. I think that's about right. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Gopal Prabhu. Wonderful class. Everybody's enjoying your class. Janitai Prabhu, good morning. Hare Krishna. You have a comment? Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, thank you. What a wonderful class. So amazing. Thank you for reminding us of Lord Nityananda and taking us to Ekachakra. And thank you for that story. I'd never heard that before about the origin of Ekachakra. So I'm so delighted to have that wonderful knowledge on this beautiful day. So thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Nityananda. Jai Nitai.
Yeah, we may forget Krishna. We may find ourselves struggling in our bhakti. But the good news is that Krishna never forgets us and sends us his representatives like Lord Nityananda. We were discussing yesterday how Lord Nityananda digs deep into the covering, into the material covering, and picks us up. And he goes hand in hand with Varahadev, with tusks to dig through the dirt, through the layers of material conditioning. So that's our saving grace, Lord Nityananda and Varahadev. Thank you, Madam Gopal Prabhu, for reminding us of that mercy that's available to us. Questions, dear devotees? Reflections? Damodar Priya, followed by Adi Purusha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Madam Gopal Das Prabhu. Thank you so much. There were so many things that I was trying to write down because I never heard them before. I was wondering if you could take a question regarding violence, since we kind of hit upon that a little bit today. I was reading Bhagavad Gita 2.21, where Srila Prabhupada speaks in the purport about how violence for Krishna is okay. And I had these questions come up, and I figured you're a perfect person to ask this to, about like, how does one know where the violence is sanctioned by God, and how do we not have it lead into, like jihads or crusades or all these other instances in history that we've known of people, doing violence, saying that it was sanctioned by God. So how do we just kind of process that? I don't know if my question makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, this is a very good question. It's an interesting one because the same question came up when we spoke about Lord Nityananda just 2 days ago. So it seems that it comes to mind. And the reason why it comes to mind is because of that episode of Jagai Madai, right? In particular, because Lord Krishna killed many demons, right? We just read that. He said, I killed Kalnemi in the form of Kansa, I killed Pralamba, and you very kindly killed Kalyavan, you burned him to ashes. Good job, right? And then here, Jagai Madai, no killing. You embrace. So what is the key difference? Of course, the key difference, the yugas are different. In the yugas, when the yugas are different like that, in Kali Yuga, the demon is residing in every devotee's. I mean, the devotee and demon, they live in the same heart. Whereas in previous yugas, you could they live separately. Devotees were pure devotees, right? For the most part. So that was pretty easy. Now, how do we recognize what is dharmically sanctioned violence? Okay, I think that's the core of your question. And it's not an easy one to answer because everybody who claims to be on the side of God and take up violence, they're convinced that God is on their side. So violence has its place, even in Kali Yuga. But it is not sanctioned to kill somebody because of somebody's religious beliefs. That is never sanctioned. Right? So this is what we learned. We don't find that in dharmic, it's not supported in the dharmic approach. Okay, you're not a Hindu, therefore I'm going to kill you. No, that's never sanctioned anywhere. Or you're not a particular, if you're not a Muslim, I'll kill you. If you're not a Christian, I'll kill you. There have been crusades, there have been jihads, there have been all kinds of holy wars in the name of God. And it's kind of silly in many ways. It's unfortunate and it's silly, right? Like sometimes, especially what they call the holy war, it doesn't make any sense that, just thinking of, there was this really interesting image of like two battling, what do you call, two battling factions. And one was like saying that, there'll never be peace unless you accept our duck god. And then the other side is saying there'll never be peace unless you accept our rabbit god. And they're both having flags that look exactly the same. One is a duck and one is a rabbit. It's just how you look at it, and so they're just fighting each other for generations. That's what's happening. I mean, we're worshiping the same God. That's not sanctioned. So if that's the question, is sanctioned? It's not. The war that Arjuna was fighting was not a war of dharma in that sense, or it's not a holy war. It was dharmic war. Dharmic war means upholding the principles of religion. If somebody is an aggressor, there's 6 aggressors that you're supposed to defend from. I mean, we have a police force. There's a reason we have a police force, right? Without police, there'll be chaos. You can't say we are complete pacifists, because if you're complete pacifists, it means you can't have police force, you can't arm them with weapons, you can't have an army. But they are noble professions. Why? Because there's a tendency for people to exploit others and to be unfair and just go out and say murder your neighbor because you didn't like him. Well, that you have to be protected from. Or you just go and kidnap somebody's wife or whatever, or you kidnap someone's children, you go in and break in someone's house and take their money. So to protect from those kind of things, violence is sanctioned and allowed. If a country decides that, hey, I like your country and the natural resources, whatever, I'm just going to invade you and take it over as part of my country. So then you take your army and you invade that country. That country has a right to defend itself and fight back. And that is sanctioned violence. You see, those kind of things are considered dharmic. Okay, so there are clear delineations of what is dharmic violence. The point in today's class was that the Lord's modus operandi, MO, in this age of Kali is a non-violent approach of spreading love of God. And if we look at Prabhupada's teachings, he used the same approach in the sense he would not highlight that, hey, don't be a Christian, don't be a Muslim, you become, a Hare Krishna. He didn't say that. He said, whatever tradition you follow, if it leads you to love of God, and follow it. And if you find that when you chant with us, you feel more bliss or ecstasy, and if you learn with us, study with us, that you find there's more details, please join us. You're welcome. You don't have to give up your label. Don't have to give up your identity. In fact, there's some Christian or Catholic priests who chanting Hare Krishna many rounds, but they still remain in their priestly order, and they're quite famous. There are even some Muslim leaders who do that. They chant Hare Krishna, but they remain as Muslims. They're Muslim priests, even whatever. And these are examples of how, we don't have to fight about everything. That's just childish and silly and petty. That's what we want to overcome. So we want to overcome the violent tendencies, that the exploitative tendencies, really what we want to overcome, you see. So Srila Prabhupada promoted that approach, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's approach, is you give love of Godhead. Violence is not our job. The devotees who are, especially our preaching devotees, we are trained to be Brahminical, Of course, there are many devotees who will be Kshatriyas, and their job, they'll be in the police force, or they'll be in the military, or security guard, or whatever. That's also required. Everybody is devotees, you see.
On Harinam, there's a bouncer always. There's a devotee who's serving as a bouncer, not important service.
And Harinam, everybody's bouncing, but you do need a designated bouncer who's going to watch out for, to make sure that people don't come and attack us and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's the Kshatriya service is needed. So yes, there is a requirement for defense purposes. And you can see there's a shift, right? I think around the Second World War, the US had a Department of War. It used to be called Department of War. It was the Secretary of War. It sounds odd now, Then they changed it. They call it Department of Defense. Because war means you're going out here being aggressive, right? Defense means, okay, it makes sense. Okay, we have a right to defend myself. Of course, nowadays Department of Defense goes and whatever, does everything. But still, at least the naming is kind of so that at least that's understood, right? I hope that helps. It's a very tricky question. It's not something you can address in just a few minutes. Thank you.
There's that story with a cobra, and the cobra became a devotee, and everybody started taking advantage of the cobra, abusing it. And then Narada Muni, I think it was, that suggested that the cobra should show its teeth, but you don't have to bite, but show your teeth. There's one story from Harinam. There was a Harinam, and there was a drunk person. He started harassing the Matajis, the devotees. So then this big brahmachari comes up to him and says, "Look, you see this big fist? Now you should go away. See my big fist?" He didn't hit him or anything, but he showed him fists.
Yeah,
so just illustrate. I hope that helps, Madam Gopal Prabhu. I hope I'm making sense.
That's the best example. That's a great example. You have to show strength. In fact, in the Art of War, Sun Tzu, a very famous Art of War book, Chinese, war strategist. He wrote this book called The Art of War, and he says, when you're strong, show weakness. When you're weak, show strength. You'll always get ahead. See? So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you.
Damodar Priya looks satisfied. He's beaming.
That's all that matters. If Damodar Priya is satisfied, everybody's satisfied.
Yeah. That's our criteria. Srila Prabhupada says, if the women and elderly are happy, then the society is good. Is that right?
Yeah, I saw in someone's kitchen. She said, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So I think it's true.
Yeah. Okay, Adipusha Prabhu, quick comment.
Well, actually, the deities are going to open at 8:30 today, so if you want to go after Glow for a little while, or maybe they're going to do, Johnny Ty, do you want to do Guru Puj first? You want to do Guru Puj while you're waiting?
Yeah, we're going to do Guru Puj.
You're going to do Guru Puj now. Okay, so should we stop the class?
I have no idea, but it's up to them.
The Native American tradition, the only people who vote are the elderly women to see who the chief is going to be. It's an interesting way of managing things. We're very much grateful for this class. It's just so excellent, and especially be reminded that Lord Nityananda is forgiving. I mean, it's just so wonderful to know that somebody who's manifestation of Krishna forgives us for the mistakes we make, because it's so painful to try to keep a good standard but make mistakes, and then somebody says, okay, keep going and don't be discouraged. That's so kind to hear that. I just wanted to share that last year on Gaur Purnima, the full moon festival for Lord Chaitanya's appearance, I happened to be going over the Manhattan Bridge. There's a bridge from Manhattan to Brooklyn, and the bridge, it's very, very high. It's like being 25 or 30 stories in the air, and it's over the river, and you can actually see 360 degrees. Very mystical experience that Krishna gave me. You can see the horizon all the way around, and at that moment, when I was going over the bridge, the sun was going down and the full moon was coming up. And I could see both horizons, and it's so like, wow! The creation is attesting to the glory of Lord Chaitanya. So he just read that verse about how Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya are like the sun and the moon, arising simultaneously on the Gaudiya to dissipate the darkness and wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. And I wonder if we could organize a Harinam to go across the Manhattan Bridge this year for Gaur Purnima. Actually witness that, because it's so amazing to see the creation in line with the teaching in such a powerful way. The sun and the moon both visible at the same time, the full moon coming up in the
See it
sun.
every day out here in the country, Prabhu, and you're welcome to come and visit.
We're in the city, you don't even see the sky most of the time, just a little sliver. Bhima is performing a horse sacrifice. He has to stay up all night for the last night and the next 2 nights, putting his horse's hoof in ice water all night because the horse has a digestive problem. So Bhima, we're praying for your Krishna consciousness. He's chanting to the horse all night. Well, good. So there's going to be Guru Puja, and then the deity darshan won't be until 8:30. Well, you have to go now for Krishna's prasad distribution. Johnny Prabhu? Yeah?
Okay, we're gonna wrap it. We're gonna wrap it up. We can't wait 30 minutes. Janitai, was nice seeing you. Nice seeing you. You look so sane, so sattvic.
Okay. The encouragement, Prabhu. You should have seen me earlier. I did my hair.
Look, Sharon's here.
Krishna, welcome back.
With a big
Thanks,
smile.
nice comment. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Gopal Prabhu. Wonderful class. Very hope-giving as always, and shastric and profound. Thank you. Any final instructions for us?
Not instructions, just want everybody to really absorb the mind and the heart in the amazing glory of Nityananda Prabhu all day as much as possible. And let us see if we can exercise some gratitude for what the Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu has given us. And if the more gratitude we have, the more it'll help us overcome any negativity, any darkness in our heart. And it's a constant fight, but it's an easy one because the moon of Nityananda Prabhu's presence has risen and there's no more darkness. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Bol.
Madam Gopal Prabhu ki jai. Okay, dear devotees, wear something blue today to honor Lord Nityananda. Okay?
Hare,
Okay.
Hare.
Love you all. Haribol. Happy Nityananda Trayodashi. It was nice seeing you.
Jai.